So real quick, I'm just getting some updates. It'll probably take a few minutes. And then once I get those in, I'll start up the project. A few other things. So, we'll see if anybody swings in or not. If not, I'll just chop this out once this video stream is done. And really, it's a level update, so well, I need to start up mine anyways, because I'm probably going to be doing some animations in there. So if you guys got any questions about blueprinting or Unreal, man, just feel free to send them my way. But really tonight, my goal is to try to get as much working as possible on the melee system for Trent. So when you're not aiming your weapons, you end up doing melee attacks against the enemies. So I got that primarily working to a degree last time, but I got to refine it down a little bit more, because right now I've got like a little combo system going where if you constantly click, he'll do some punching animations, and I have it set up in a sequence where each animation is supposed to flow into the next, instead of him like doing one swing and then he goes back to his neutral state where he's just holding his weapon at a low ready, and then you go to attack again with a melee, and then it goes into his second swing state, and then it goes back to a low ready. So I got to fix that, so that way if you're constantly clicking in that and it's going to run into the next animation montage section, then it's just going to go continuously, and it's not going to just send him back to the beginning of his neutral state. So it just looks really bad. So I'm going to see if I can clear that up a bit more. So everything's loading. Apologize about that. I tried to have all this ready to go, but I just wanted to get the ball moving here. And I almost got the update done for the new update on 4.12.5, so that's almost finished. So once I'll get done streaming here, I'll probably end up grabbing the rest of that. I haven't worked in 4.12 just yet. Somebody was telling me something about, I guess there were some issues with the textures going on for this version launch. I really can't verify that because I haven't done anything on 4.12 just yet. But we'll find out. Alright, let's see. Where are we at? So file that. Oh, that seems good to know. Sweet. Okay, we're updated. Now I can start PROXY up. Open away. Alright, while that project's opening, I'm going to see what stances I have to operate to go from for melee animations on this guy. So if you've ever seen anything I've done before with Unreal and characters, I use the animation rigging toolkit. It's free. I'm definitely looking forward to version 2. From what I've seen and followed on the forums, it's going to be awesome. Completely procedural animation kit, so you can just about rig anything you want and keep it in a library. Let's see what we have. I also need to look at Trent's bones, because I really feel like there's some things that we're missing in terms of optimization and his materials and whatnot. That's another thing I can clean up on. Like his glasses, like I have like 2 different material sets for the lenses in his glasses, when really I could have just made that one material. So a mistake on my part, because I was young and naive and I didn't really know Unreal too well at the time. But as time has gone on, my knowledge base has expanded a bit more on Unreal. So we'll see what we have here. Let's take a look at where is his bones. Let me just actually let me do a new scene. I don't need the rig scene. I want the export. The export's the key. So let's edit the existing character and let's take a look for Trent. And what I'll probably do is I might just update his materials as well. I'll probably just get the textures in this scene so I can actually see what he looks like. Yeah, he's got a very basic bone structure in this guy. I don't even think I have any weapon bones on him, to be honest. I think he's just a straight arm with finger bones, and that's really it. I think he's got one jawbone here. Yeah. So I got more targets up control him as well for that. Okay. So let's go ahead and where we at? 93%. Cool. I also found a way to like update the splash screen here, so I want to do that eventually, but that's not on my agenda right now. Many other things are. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to import this guy's correct textures. So I'm going to go to the hypershade here. I got my own little shortcut key here. To get to your hypershade as well, really, it might be under rendering, but I think it should be just standard. So window, general editors, and window rendering editors, hypershade. You just Control Shift and click, and that'll give you a new shortcut button on your shelf if you want to make a new shelf icon. Just add a new shelf, and that'll give you another little tab here. So I have my own little custom one that has all the stuff I commonly use. So let me take a look at what he's got in his materials. Some of these are actually for the rigging system that was made, so I'm not going to mess with those. However, if I select this one here, which is Trent body, Trent head, and glasses, I feel that's kind of strange, but select objects with the material so I can see that his body has that. He's got his head because he has two different texture sheets, so I need two different types of materials. And his glasses here have one material on them as well. Yes, okay. I'm going to leave that be, but I need to update his materials texture. So I just double clicked on it, and that was to bring up the options for it. As you can see, color doesn't have anything in it right now. So it's looking for where that texture is, except it's not there. What I did was in my local folders, I ended up creating a folder that has all my characters' textures in it, so I can have it local on the machine, and this rigging toolkit system will actually know where to access those. So what I need to do is I got to find it. There we go. Okay. And where I have that folder is located locally with the Animation Rigging Toolkit folder, so that would be within where the Unreal Engine gets installed. I think I have that under Program Files, or else it's going to be x86 where I gotta go. Let's see, Epic Games. I think I switched it up to 411. I updated my Animation Rigging Toolkit to use the 411 version one, so if not, I'll find it. So under Extras, Animation Rigging Toolkit, My Tools, General, Art Scripts. Okay, it's not here, so let's check. Just check 4.9 to be sure. Skeleton projects, none of that's there. Okay, let me back to 411 real quick. PROXY is still in the process of opening right now, so that's what I'm still waiting on. Sample, no. Okay, let's try 410, which I don't really know if I have any projects in 410 right now, to be honest. So I don't have any projects using 410. Yeah, character textures, there we go. So I have it in 410. That's not a good practice, but okay. So let me find Trent's stuff. This is body albedo, normal. Well, I just need the albedo maps. I don't really need all the other extra stuff. And there we go. Finally, it's updating. So it also pulled that normal map with it too, which was awesome. One less step I gotta do. And let's pull in the head. There we go. That a second to update. Alright, cool. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to publish a rig for this. I'm just going to save over my other rig I had before. So that way now, exists with that name. Yes, I'm going to overwrite it. Character as a thumbnail. I'm going to overwrite the thumbnail because I think it was a black and white thumbnail. I'm going to give it one that has color now. And yeah, it controls just like, you know, inside the local Maya controller, but I'm just going to use this. So that's my thumbnail. I can see up in the corner whatever I'm controlling characters in the animation rigging toolkit. Nice little feature. So, all right, it's building the control rig. That's finished, and now he's saved into the library. So now, if I go back to the animation rigging toolkit, add character for animation, we'll see in the folder I saved him in. His thumbnail didn't update. What a shame. But let's just add and close. And he should be updated, hopefully. Yes, okay, cool. So yeah, he's updated, and his thumbnail didn't change because we didn't save it out. So at least he has color, and I'm not looking at a black and white mannequin character. And we now have PROXY open as is. Here's that common level. So I've been in this level for long enough. I'm going to go to my test map, though. The test map is usually what I work out of a lot of the times. What that allows me to do is allows me to keep everything very, you know, clean, simple. I'm not loading a bunch of extra stuff. It's just a simple little room where I can control all the features I need to work with for the character. So I'm not having to look at like all the crazy effects and materials going on. It's just an area where I can spawn whatever I need to in there. So open up the living complex. Okay, that's our new map that we have going on. Alright, so let's see what poses I have here to work with in terms of weaponry. It's loading that screen up. Okay, so I've got the pistol in there. I've got a couple animations done for that. So I would assume that my next one would probably need to be the assault rifle. I just clicked on it, so what it just did is it's going to throw one keyframe on and take all of the rigging controls, and it's going to throw him in a pose. So he doesn't have any prop in his hand at this moment. I can go ahead and import that object. So I'm going to my external where I have all my assets saved for this game. It's going to take just a minute to access that thing, access my drive. And I have all my assets that I've gone through and used, so I need to come down to weapons, the assault rifle, and annihilator. So our annihilator FBX should just, yeah, it should just be the object. It's going to have a simple skeleton on it. The skeleton is completely like its own bone structure, so it shouldn't overwrite his character at all. However, nice thing is I'm going to put the mesh in reference, and I'm also going to put the annihilator in a reference as well, so that way I'm not clicking the actual object. I'm just going to click the root bone. Oh, that's the anim root for the character. Trigger root. Okay. So let's move this weapon into place. So now I have a prop to really work with and see how I'm going to animate him up later. I have a quick little, hopefully a quick fix I've been thinking about today. I can get the animations to look a little bit more transition more correctly instead of them starting and stopping. Okay, so that's in place. Let's go back to Unreal real fast. Okay, it's in the process of loading something. Alright, so I'm going to take this weapon, I'm going to parent the root bone to his arm. Now, because I do a lot of, these are a lot of melee animations, these are big motions, I tend to do a lot of the upper arms and spine, and forward kinematics and the lower legs I'll just keep as IK, because I'm kind of lazy moving each leg, unless I'm doing like a rolling or flip animation or something where he's like spinning 360. Then it's good to have it as a forward kinematic rig. So animation interface, I'm going to go to right rig settings, and you should see in his left arm right now, if I were to grab his wrist, you'll see that it's in inverse kinematics. So if I end up moving his arm over here, I have to take the elbow, move that as well. Not really what I want to do. It's not letting me undo that. That's not a good sign. Either way, if I hit forward kinematic mode, you can just move it back, hopefully. Undo is not possible. Object is currently being edited. I'm not editing anything. Cool. That was just what I needed to do. Just have happened. I don't know. That's the first time I've really seen that happen. Alright, fine. Do that the hard way, Maya. Thank you. Like I said, I don't have to repose the character out because I've got all those poses saved. So real fast. Get back to his pose again. Oops. Okay, he's in pose position. Let's import that annihilator one more time. Okay, I'm going to grab his mesh pieces here. Actually, I've already got them saved out, so whenever I do a lot of IK/FK switching, I end up hiding parts of the body, and then I'll duplicate his body at times so I can see like where his last frame left off from when he was in one animation type mode to where the other one will start. Alright, so that weapon back in place. Alright, let's grab his gun, his weapon, excuse me, old habit. Now let's take his arms, and I want to make them both forward kinematic. So his left arm, forward kinematic. Now it's everything from bottom down. Love it. Hopefully Maya's not going to keep doing this to me the whole time. Because if not, then I'm going to have to find some other things to work on, because this is a very odd error. I've never really seen that happen. Alright, so I want to grab the weapon. I'm going to parent that to the hand. So I've got the root, got the arm. Let me change the arm. That's the one step I missed. Right arm forward kinematic, and spine forward kinematic. So now it's kind of weird whenever you have to do parent controlling or parenting things. It tends to be like one or the other. It's flipped back and forth. So constrain, parent. Now hopefully when I move this hand, the weapon will follow, and it does. So I'm still getting that really strange error going on. Okay. I might end up having to do some animation later. Oh, that's coming along. Alright, so let me open up my test map here. I opened up the wrong map, excuse me. Alright, so this map's a lot smaller, so the lighting should update. And I also have a goal where I'm going to get rid of these overlap volumes because this is causing a lot of problems as well. So right now, if I just play it, he should just melee swing away. So one punch. So it's depending how fast you hit the mouse. I have him rotating the direction in which the camera's facing. It's very fast. I have no interpolation to where he's going to rotate whenever you look, so I'll have to do that. So if you notice, he didn't have a weapon, but as soon as I clicked, he pulled out the pistol. That's something I have written in the blueprint, which is a big mess. So if I click, wait, he just does that single punch. Now if I click constantly, he goes into a sequence of animations. Now the thing I don't like is he goes back to the center of his starting position with each animation, which is just that pose right there. Now what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make it so when I go to his melee animations, I'm going to find it through his animation graph here. So this is all I have written that takes care of his melee animations. So what I have is it goes through a continued combo. It finds out whether or not within a lot of time range if the player has clicked again. If he has, then it's going to go ahead and add 1 to the sequence number and continue on. What I mean by a sequence number is I have a melee attack montage. This montage is pretty crazy looking because it's got a lot of stuff in it, and I'll show you that right now. So this is where I'm keeping every single melee animation I have for weapons that I'm going to do. So if you can see as I scrub through here, that's with nothing. This is with an old pistol attack. It's an old rifle melee rocket attack, which is absolutely horrendous. And this is, as you can see, like the way I animated it is, it's a whole fluid movement. But what's happening is at the end of this sequence, when it gets that notified, he goes right back from there to that neutral position, which he was holding the weapon in front of him. So that's something I'm going to try to fix. And the way I'm going to approach it is, I think if I put a bool statement in front of his logic within the graph here, within his macro. So if he's attacking with melee, this is basically just, is the player, clicking the main attack button? And if he is, then it's going to ask, are we aiming at weapons or not? If we are, then that means we're going to be shooting the actual weapons and a projectile is going to come out. Now if we are not aiming, then it's going to come in here and find out, okay, do this one time, because it's only going to say set the montage section to 0. This is if it's starting from the very beginning. And when it goes through, it's going to add 1 to the montage section. It's going to find out with the struct I had made what exactly is the weapon that he has, since my weapon system is based on an integer, so it's like 0's melee, 1's pistol, 2 SMG, 3 assault rifle, so on and so forth. So if I go to pistol, it's going to say, oh, it's a pistol revolver, the weapon ID is 1, and these are your animation sections of the names of the animation. Now, animation length you can disregard. I thought I was going to need that. I do not need it any longer. So you put the name of the animation section in here. So if I go back to let's see, melee montage. So if I come down to the section names here, pause this because it's kind of distracting. If I go to the new revolver melee attack is this section's name. So if you see that my mouse splits into an arrow, I can click on this section name. I can put the section name in here. I would usually just copy that to make sure I have all the case sensitive correct, and then from this struct, you can go ahead and paste that into what section it is, and it will read that section, and that will get sent out into a variable, which would be set montage anim. So it would say what's the montage being played, which is if you have multiple montages, is it using one that has like melee only, or is it only shooting animations, or is it reload animations? The section to play, which would be the weapon, and from there it would carry over the name, and then that name would fill in the montage jump to section. So it'll find the montage, it'll jump to that section and play. So I'm gonna have to try something out here where hopefully if we go through a follow-up here, I have a bool that I'll use just like the is dead section and the event graph. Let me show you what I'm talking about here, or the anim graph, excuse me. So what happens is whenever characters die in here, I set it up originally so if a character dies, there is no more animations being fed to this at all. What will happen is that the character's animations will stop playing. You'll simulate ragdoll, and the character will just fall over, and he won't be, floating in a T-pose or something like that. So my attempt is I'm going to try to add another bool up here, and I'll see hopefully if it'll keep playing. If not, I wonder if also if I switch this around, if this will still let me play the animations. Okay, compile that. And basically this means is what kind of slot are you playing, full body, half body, whatever slot you name it. So again, if I go to the montages, default upper body, I don't know why this happened. This is a very strange little bug that happened to us over time. But I have upper body and full body, so if, like, for instance, the melee attacks are full body, which means that this character has a root motion or anything else that'll follow through, that when it plays, this slot becomes active and anything behind it should stop. So if this does work, then that means that's working. So I'm going to drag this off to the side so I can actually see the animation graph working in real time. So okay, I'm on preview instance here, so let me see what's going on with him. So yeah, so I keep clicking here. And that didn't work. Okay, I ended up stopping. I think it was because I ended up switching that on. Okay. So if I click here, you'll see that the slot full body takes over and stops all animations behind it. So I might need to do a delay, I might need to do something, but as long as I can keep this from flowing behind it, then it'll prevent the character from going into his neutral state of his pistol. So that's where I'm thinking a bool might come into play for that. Okay, so the only way to really know is just to make a new bool. Continuing montage animation. I think I need to get that. I don't know if I used it already, so let's see where I may have used it. This is all within the event graph, so I can probably use it here as well. And I'll make an OR for that. So if either of these become true, if either of these are true, then there will be no animation flowing into here. The continue montage section should be set in the event graph as it's telling me. So let me double click on that, and it's setting it here. So this is becoming true, and if it is true, then it's going to just keep on playing as montage, hopefully. As much as I've done this, I don't think it's going to work, so yeah. So he's just popping into his T-pose there, so that's not working very well. Okay, so I'll have to try something else. Let's see what errors I got. Destroy actor example map. Okay, so I think something went away when I was in there. Okay, what's another thing I can pull from to find out if it's playing and what I can stop it with? I'll have to just see here. Nothing. Alright, so sorry, I was just checking a few things here. Let me check a message real fast. Okay, what can I pull from for this? Continue montage animation, animation hit. Play the animation, but it's in a full body animation, yes. I kind of get quiet. I'm just trying to think in my head like what I could possibly do to pull from this to get it to, you know, keep it from playing, because this is what I want, but I want to make sure that it'll give me a brief second to be able to continue with animations and make it look more fluid. So from that, can't use continue animations, so that's a no-go. Ready, throw item, okay. Then poses my full body. One other thing I wasn't liking too much was all these overlap volumes to find out what objects I was standing above, because that was actually causing me a lot of conflicting items to pick up. Not for collecting ammo, but just like overall just trying to grab them. So I think it'd be best if I use a line trace for that. That works. It's been a while since I kind of messed with him, so it'll be a little bit refreshing to kind of see all the things I can improve upon and change in types of his blueprinting. Alright, so really in the montage animation, I just have a whole bunch of little sections in there. Okay. And I have notifies that'll fire off to allow the next section to play. Trigger weight, that's not what I want. Trigger weight is basically saying, okay, if this, how much of a, you know, how sensitive is this to like jump to the next section. That's kind of all it really is. One thing I could try is I can try moving this back just a little bit. So I have melee attack and melee attack hit. Hit is actually like sending out a notify to the enemies, and that actually happens within the graph here, I believe, or not the anim graph, but the event graph. So within the event graph, if our melee attack and open hit. So what happens is once it hits that event notify of melee hit, it's going to do a connect. What this is doing is it's getting the owning actor. So really, I mean, since in the beginning of my graph, I sent a cast at the very beginning to say cast to Trent. I could use this cast to Trent BP since it's only talking to one particular blueprint. It really doesn't need to find the owner, but it'll basically what it's doing is it's finding the owner, like who is the skeletal mesh that owns this animation blueprint. When that happens, it's going to send this animation interface message out to the skeleton and whatever the skeleton actor blueprint. Reason to say skeleton actor blueprint is because a blueprint is made up of different components. So I have his animation here, or his blueprint, and what happens is it finds his skeleton here, and since it's part of a component that makes up this blueprint, what's going to happen is that when it does the melee connect, overlap and let me fix. I have it down to a collapse graph, so I can. This is really just detecting who's around, and this is where that interface message comes in. So when this triggers off, it's going to find out melee attack from character. What's the weapon of choice if I wanted specific animations of the characters to react, like say they got hit by an assault rifle in the face or something and they got to react differently than getting punched by a pistol. That's one way you can control that. This is going to send another interface to the target. So the target is basically what object or what actor did you hit? Did you hit an AI character? Did you hit a wall? Did you hit something else? That's all it's doing. It's just vector traces the direction in which you hit them from and transform for synchronization. Transfer synchronization, basically what that is if you've ever played any game, I had this happen to me on Titanfall once where I went to melee, or I went to do an execute on a character, and all of a sudden the game went into changing over to a different host, or a server host. And what happened was my character stopped in the melee animation, and what it did is it grabbed the nearest AI to me, and it lined him up with his back facing me in front of my character. Because what it was doing was it had to move the character in place, and the AI skeleton was going to set up the animation it was going to play the correct animation for that melee animation. That's all it really does. Now, Alicia attack enumeration. This is a bunch of enumeration types of kicks, punches that we had for our other character to execute. So this would be occupied by a different blueprint elsewhere. This camera shake gives that feeling of the punching animations. It gives that little extra oomph. Weapon camera shakes are doing any camera shake really is not that difficult. It's pretty easy to find. Like, let's say Google search, and we'll go to UE4 camera shake. I know things are easy. That's the one way I found it. Let's see here. I believe it's adding. Yeah. This guy goes over it really fast, and literally it's just 3 minutes and 30 seconds of just running through that video, and he will show you just how to set it up. It's really not that difficult, but it adds so much more when you're shooting weapons or hitting people or anything else. You want some real gradual effect to something. So attacking melee, this is set up in there. It's different. Okay. So let's get back to here. I'm trying to really see how I can get this to move more fluently. Maybe we can do something in the montage. And again, if you guys got any questions or anything, just feel free to message. Not a problem. I'll answer any questions you guys got about. It doesn't have to even be this. It can be anything else within the editor itself. So we have, this is assault rifle hit, so that'll need to move back. And this is rocket kick, and that's the first hit. Zooming away in here. So I'm going to do it right when it triggers here and see what happens. See if it even flows into the next one. And the same with this one. Since I'm working on Trent, I have a lot of free reign within Perforce right now, or source control, to do what I need to do, since really no one else works on Trent except me. So we'll do a quick play test once it gets loading. Okay, yep, wonderful things that happen in Unreal. Right now it's just kind of doing a heavy load for some odd strange reason. Oh, yeah, I know why. Alright, it's going back to his starting pose again. So that had no effect at all. I didn't think it would, but it was worth a try. Alright, so let's set those back. And that's the end of his animation. Okay. So let's take a look here. Default full body. Yes, I know. So when it hits this notify, this part in the graph stops, and it keeps playing everything else. I just kind of wish there was a thing to kind of hold it off. One other thing I did see though, is we have blend in time, blend out time. I'm going to slow this blend out time to like 0.1. Should take a little bit longer time for it to kick out of the animation. Really won't know until I try. I'm not going to have the blueprint open because I have a really strange little bug and that's going on in there. It's not even me, it's an editor bug. So it kind of worked there. Actually, it's blending out very fast. Never mind. SMG melee, pistol melee, launcher, melee attacks montage. Okay. Blend out time of 1. Well, he's punching, but it's not showing anything. This is the fun part about debugging things. Okay, so I don't know. Let's go 0.05. Much lower than that. That's for sure. Like a fraction lower, of 0.25. And that's within delta seconds is what it's talking about there. Man, if I could just stop the flow of that, that would be awesome. There's probably a way of doing it, I'm just not thinking of it. Blend out trigger time of -1. Okay, so let's try 1. That's not doing anything. So let's see what's going on here. Okay. Wonder, I can't do a delay on that at all, so that's what sucks. Let's see. It's not doing an animation play, it's not doing any of that. Yeah, these are the fun parts of doing this. I might just move on from here because I don't want to keep, delaying this, trying to figure this out, and then that's the whole video, because then that's just kind of boring. Okay, so what else have we got that we can do here? Well, I do have this fragmentation error going on with the grenades. So I have a middle mouse button. If I hold that down, he's aiming, he can move around. And there's something strange going on earlier. So which weapon he puts the grenade away. Yeah, sometimes he'd walk, but maybe I fixed that and I just didn't remember. Now, I had a problem with the grenades that were going on where every time I would... I've been working on this for about 1.5 years. A little more than maybe half, but... that's where I learned a lot of things, really. So this game started from like when I was first starting in Unreal and just moving along. There's a video out there that shows him first walking around, and it looked horrendous, dude, and that was when I first got it going. So if I spawn a few guys, sometimes this will, yeah, there we go. So now he's strafing when I'm not even moving, so that's the problem I gotta fix there. If I throw this thing, it only gets a few of them, so that's not a good thing to do. Okay, so the grenade was also another problem too. So again, if I had a few of these guys and it hit them, it got one, but it didn't get the all the other. Did not get the other ones. Now I do have a good guess of why that's happening, because earlier when I had done the weapons, I had done a radial trace, or not a trace. I did a overlap volume. I think it was only going to trigger a few, but there's something else I'm going to try this time around, which is could be projectiles, because every time something explodes, it goes off into here. This is quite a mess because I was just writing it as I went, and this was a while ago. So a lot of things I could definitely fix here. So let's see, this is the damage, when really I should have just been using this here, apply damage. I've kind of learned from doing some multiplayer stuff on another project I'm doing personally myself right now, that what's nice about these is this is actually set up to do a lot of the logic for you in terms of damage, so you're not having to do stuff like this, like which I did here. So if I do apply damage again, you see there's point, radial, and there's also a fall off. So this would be good with something that is this grenade, for instance. This icon up here means that it's set up for handling on server. So any information you pass in here, if this was a multiplayer game, it's going to send that information up to the server, and the server is going to delegate that as if they have authority or not. That's like the short sense of what that is, really. So I'm not going to worry too much about that right now, but what I should do is let's take care of that strafing that was going on with him when he was moving. So there's animation blueprint again. I'll head back to the event graph and have morph target animations, camera head turning, setting speed, calculate direction, and velocity. Okay. Give velocity to this character. So I believe what was going on, standard character movement. Let me hit play real fast and we'll see what's going on real quick with. I'm trying to see if this is actually kind of like an event tick. I'm pretty sure that it is, because this is checking to see if he's in air, and that's usually something that happens every tick to see if the character's falling or not. Calculate direction, I ended up using that instead of a blend space. Before I used a blend space, which was move forward and move right, and then you just have positives of like 0 to 1 or 0 to 600 or however fast you want the character to move. And then I also switched it out to calculate direction. The reason I switched it to calculate direction is because that actually was handled inside of multiplayer as well. And if I go to him, yeah, this is an event tick, so this is going every second. It's just seeing what his speed is. So I can start from here and I can begin doing some debugging. And I'm going to move this over the side here. I'm going to do a print string, and I'm just going to feed an append. And let's call this one, let's do direction. Put a space. Feed direction to that. And force this one over here. And I'm going to put this down to a 0.002, because if I did not do that, then I would get this whole list mess of print strings like that. Very annoying. So 0.02. and now I just have one up in the corner. It's kind of hard to see, it's blue, so I'm going to make it something a little bit more obvious, like high orange or something like that. Alright, there we go, a little bit easier to see. But right now it's saying he's moving 90, which is not the case. See? Because it's thinking he's going 90, that's why it's causing him to move like that. So what I can do is I can say, what's his speed? Well, let's find out what his speed is. So let's copy these nodes here, paste them below, drag that one down below as well. And I'm going to bring this up into speed so I can see what that is. Or if I wanted to keep things a little bit more cleaner, I can do get speed. Drag that on in. Same with this one here. Keep these nearby so I can see things, get direction. Because all this really is these nodes are getting the information filled up from these sets. And let's call this in speed. And let's find out what exactly is happening. I'm going to make speed a different color, like a red. So our speed is 0, direction is still saying he's 90. So even okay, so our speed is working fine. So what we can do is I can grab the speed of this vector length and I can say, to make sure these things are also still working, I can just pull a sequence node right after this, which I probably will do right now, because this is set of operations after the calculate direction for strafing. This stuff kind of needs to run at all times because it needs to be resetting things, finding out what's the state of the character. So I'm going to set that down below, and this then is going to go into this branch. So move these on over. Okay, so let's begin setting this up. Now, what I'm doing is kind of a dirty little way of doing it, but it's still going to get the point across. This is a single player game, so I'm not having to worry about multiplayer setups in a way. So I'm just going to copy this speed node, and I'm going to do a branch. I'm going to say if this is equal to or less than, oops. Math was never my strong suit. And basically, what I'm trying to do is say, okay, if our character's not moving, don't do anything with direction. Like, just do not occupy these at all. This, however, will still need to keep being processed, so I will need to add a pin. I'm going to bring our direction down below, so this will be our second operation that gets funneled in, and we are going to need to constantly calculate direction and speed as this goes. So and speed will be its own little beast on itself. Okay, so with that being done, I do one more print string, and I'm going to say this character should not be moving. And from there, if false happens, 0.02, I'm going to see a couple of these copies happen. We should see something green post saying this character should not be moving. If false goes in, if any of our speed gets higher than 0, then calculate direction should then kick off, and direction should be tracked, so then he should be moving around. So I did that backwards, so easy fix. Not. There we go. Well, it was. This character should not be moving, but yet it's still making him move. that happens, then velocity needs to stop being filtered. Okay. Get velocity. Movement component, let's try. Let's see what happens about this one here. This is tracking the actor. I like to track the movement component. That'd probably be a little bit better. Alright, still the same. So it's one and the same. I kind of figured that. It's always going to track him at 90, so if speed is at 0, let's take a look at his actual animation that drives him to do that. So I have that within the anim graph, and I have that set up within the aiming weapon upper body, lower body cache blending. So if he begins to aim, if aiming's true, it's going to blend these two together. So let's do weapon aim, lower body, which I need to find that, which are here in these red boxes. So locomotion, additive, when weapons are being aimed, 4D blend space. So this basically splits them in half. So 4D animation, Trent, direction, speed, and yeah, that's kind of how I have my strafing set up. It's a bit different than most, but it works relatively well. So he's sitting here, speed, direction. Direction 180, negative 180. And it's tracking him at 90 at almost all times. The speed, I feel like that's not the right one that's using. So if I do a play, I can see if it's going to be doing that or not. I should have hit that compile before I hit play. I have to wait a long pause because it's compiling blueprint and then it'll play it for you. And I'm just trying to see if this is actually flowing through. I can go back to the locomotion additive and see if it's entered into here. Okay, I'm going to set this over to the side so I can see what's going on. And put this here. So it's not working, it's not running right now, so as soon as I aim, now it is running, so I am using that animation. So that's good to know. So I'm trying to find out why exactly it wants to keep adding motion. This does look a little more complicated than it should be, so I feel like I'm doing something wrong. It's usually the rule with doing blueprinting. If it gets too complicated, then something's wrong. What I could do, if false, let's set our direction to 0. Huh. Well, that seems to work. Let's drop a couple enemies in. Yeah, and that you saw him jump there. That's because the impulse is going. Okay, so we fixed that. That works. Not usually how I do it, but hey, if it's going, it's going. So I'm going to get rid of all my print strings here so I'm not having to see that stuff when I'm actually trying to play. And I'll see if I can organize this up just a bit more. just going to copy this one node. It's the same thing. It's just wires aren't being dragged everywhere. Instead of just kind of being condensed down, it's just to its own little local area of the graph. Okay. Setting error, turn functionality. Keep that below. Okay. Compile that and save it. Now we fixed our grenade strafing problem I had a while back. Cool. Ready to debug grenade. Head turning control, morph target animations, game text refresh. Okay. So our melee I'm going to have to do on a different time. I really don't want to spend a whole lot of time trying to fix it here. So I can see about what's going on with the grenades.